I know exactly what it feels like when the mathematics of your life completely stop working. You wake up at 3 in the morning staring at the ceiling in the dark. You feel a heavy, crushing, physical weight pressing down on your chest. You're terrified to look at your bank account because you know the number is zero, or worse, it is a terrifying, suffocating negative number. Your credit cards are completely maxed out. You decline phone calls from unknown numbers because your stomach drops, knowing it is probably another aggressive debt collector. You feel like you're drowning in the middle of a dark ocean, and the water level is rising every single day. The financial elites on Wall Street, the men in the tailored suits managing billion-dollar hedge funds, they do not want to talk to you. You do not have any capital for them to manage. To the modern financial system, you are invisible. But today, I am talking directly to you. I am going to teach you exactly how to rebuild a financial empire from the absolute ashes of zero. The very first thing we must do is perform an emergency psychological operation on your mind. We must remove the poison that is keeping you paralyzed. Society has convinced you that being broke or being deeply in debt is a moral failure. You feel a deep, toxic sense of shame. You feel like a bad parent, a bad provider, or a fundamental failure of a human being. You must immediately stop thinking this way. I need you to completely separate your self-worth from your net worth. Your financial collapse is not a moral failing. It is simply a mathematical error. And more importantly, it is a mathematical error that the global financial system was particularly designed for you to commit. The system does not want you to be wealthy. The modern economy thrives and expands entirely on the financial illiteracy of the working class. From the moment you got your first job, you were bombarded by predatory lending. You were handed high-interest credit cards before you even understood how compound interest works. You were aggressively brainwashed by a consumer culture that demands you buy things you cannot afford to impress people who do not even care about you. You were placed in a maze that was explicitly designed to trap you in a cycle of endless debt. You made mistakes, yes, but you were playing a game that was rigged against you from the start. But here is the harsh, unforgiving truth that you must accept if you want to survive. While the system may be rigged, blaming the system will not pay your rent tomorrow. Complaining about the billionaire class will not put food on your family's table. You are at the absolute bottom of a dark canyon, and nobody is coming to save you. No politician is going to rescue you. No magical lottery ticket is going to fix your life. No secret cryptocurrency tip is going to drop a rope down to pull you out of the darkness. The rescue mission relies entirely on you. You must become your own savior. To do this, you must accept absolute brutal responsibility for your current coordinates. You cannot chart a course to freedom if you refuse to look at the map that shows you are currently in hell. Most people in massive debt practice a deadly habit called financial avoidance. They throw the credit card bills in the trash without opening them. They ignore the math, hoping a miracle will happen. Miracles do not happen in finance. Only math happens. Tonight, you must sit down at your kitchen table with a blank piece of paper and a pen. You must open every single envelope. You must log into every single account. You must write down the exact, ugly, terrifying numerical reality of your debt down to the very last penny. You must stop hiding from the numbers. You must stop lying to your spouse about how much you actually owe. And most importantly, you must stop lying to yourself. Look at that piece of paper. That number is your enemy, but it is just a number. It is not a reflection of your soul. When you finally look the monster in the eye, something incredible happens. The terror begins to fade. The unknown is always scarier than the known. But many people are terrified of hitting absolute zero. But I am telling you, zero is not a tragedy. Zero is a massive victory. When you finally claw your way out of negative $50,000 and reach exactly $0, you will have defeated the system. Zero is not hell. Zero is a clean slate. Zero is the true starting line of your life. But to get to zero, we must stop the bleeding immediately. We must ruthlessly slash the financial dead weight from your lifestyle. Now let us look at the exact steps you must take tomorrow morning. Now that you have looked the monster in the eye and you know the exact numerical reality of your debt, it is time to act. When people hit absolute rock bottom, their first instinct is usually to look for a magical, offensive weapon. They look for a high-risk investment, a volatile cryptocurrency, or a lottery ticket that will magically erase $30,000 of debt overnight. This is the exact mindset that keeps the working class permanently impoverished. You cannot invest your way out of a burning house if you are carrying credit card debt at a 25% interest rate. There is no legal investment on the planet that will outpace that mathematical destruction. Before you can build an empire, you must stop the bleeding. You must perform a ruthless, precise financial surgery on your current lifestyle. To do this, we must identify and eliminate the silent killer of the modern middle and lower classes. I call it the ego tax. The ego tax is the premium you pay to convince people you don't even like that you have money you don't actually possess. Look around you. You see people who earn $40,000 a year driving a $45,000 car. They're paying $600 a month for a vehicle that mathematically depreciates the second they turn the key. They're carrying a $1,000 smartphone in their pocket, paying $30 a month for multiple streaming services, and spending $15 a day on premium coffee and food delivery. They do this because society has conditioned them to fear looking poor more than actually being poor. They are buying the temporary illusion of wealth, and they're paying for it with their permanent freedom. If you are at zero, or if you are in the negative, you can no longer afford the ego tax. You must immediately declare a state of financial emergency. Starting tomorrow morning, you are going to put your lifestyle into absolute quarantine. You are going to cancel every single subscription service. You do not need to watch the newest television show when your financial house is on fire. You are going to stop eating in restaurants entirely. You will buy basic groceries, you will cook your own meals, and you will eat rice and beans if you have to. Consider the automobile. I have often observed people who are drowning in debt, yet they continue to drive cars with heavy monthly payments. In their minds, they believe it is a necessity or a status symbol. But in the cold mathematics of wealth creation, a financed car is not a status symbol. It is a heavy iron anchor dragging them straight to the bottom of the ocean. When a person truly wants to escape the trap, they do not cling to depreciating assets. They downgrade. They take the bus, they ride a bicycle, or they buy a simple, inexpensive vehicle in cash that merely gets them from point A to point B. When you start executing this financial surgery, something highly predictable is going to happen. You are going to experience massive social resistance. Your friends and your coworkers will notice your change. They will invite you out to expensive dinners and weekend drinks. When you tell them you cannot go because you are on a $0 budget, they will look at you strangely. They will call you cheap. They will tell you you're taking things too seriously. They will tell you you need to live a little. You must ignore them completely. Let them laugh. Remember, the people mocking your discipline are likely drowning in the exact same debt trap you are trying to escape. They are deeply uncomfortable with your new behavior because your discipline highlights their lack of control. Isolation is the price of salvation. You are separating yourself from the herd of the financially blind. Take every single dollar you save from eliminating the ego tax and hurl it violently at your debt. Attack the highest interest rates first. Treat every $100 you pay off as a life-saving breath of oxygen. This process will not be fast and it will not be glamorous. It will require months, perhaps even years of brutal monastic discipline. There will be days when you feel incredibly tired and unfairly punished, but I want you to visualize the exact moment you make that final payment. I want you to imagine logging into your banking app, looking at the screen, and seeing that your debt is finally wiped out. Your net worth is exactly $0. As I said before, most people fear zero, but when you climb out of the dark canyon of debt, zero is the most beautiful number in the universe. Zero means the interest is no longer compounding against you. Zero means the debt collectors can no longer call your phone. Zero means you finally own 100% of your own life. Reaching zero is your graduation day from the financial matrix. But zero is only the baseline. Once you've stopped the bleeding, the real game begins.
You have no money, but you now possess the single most valuable asset on earth. We must now talk about your only remaining capital and how to weaponize your time. When your bank account is empty, we have successfully stopped the bleeding. You have eliminated the ego tax, you have cut the dead weight, and you have survived the social isolation. But now you are sitting at your kitchen table facing a terrifying reality. You look at your bank account and the balance is exactly $0. You have no cash to invest in the stock market, you have no capital to acquire real estate, you cannot start a traditional business. The standard rules of wealth creation seem completely locked away behind a massive iron door. This is the exact moment that 99% of people surrender. They believe that because they have no financial money, they have no capital at all. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of what capital actually is. Money is simply stored energy, but it is not the only form of energy. When your financial